Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are reviewing Mother's Instinct, starring Jessica Chastain and Anne Hathaway. The film is a psychological thriller about two neighbours who also happen to be best friends with children of roughly the same age, one of whom dies in a tragic accident while round the other's house. And the film is basically a journey of grief and paranoia and guilt as these two maternal figures become very suspicious and paranoid about each other and their relationship with the one remaining son. I was really intrigued for this film conceptually from the trailer. It looked really interesting. It looked like a very intimate, claustrophobic and chamber piece sort of horror film that was very grounded in reality and a real situation. It is very rare nowadays to watch a horror film or any kind of thriller that elicits the kind of tension and suspense in you that really makes you want to watch to the end. But Mother's Instinct was absolutely one of those films. As a psychological thriller, I was absolutely gripped in this film. Sure, it delves into cliche with a couple of the suspense plot points, but for the most part, this is a film that is absolutely anchored in its central performances as they play out this really kind of emotional cat and mouse game, trying to determine who's the good guy, whose intentions are maybe a little shady. Because this central relationship and dynamic takes many different forms throughout the film. At first it's friendly, it's amicable, but it becomes more suspicious and more laden with accusations as it progresses. And both actors play this off so well. Considering the bulk of this film is these two women in these two houses, the film is not big in terms of cast or environment. It falls heavily on these two to really establish the suspense and the tension between them, and they do magnificently. There's themes of madness and mental instability that kind of get drip fed to the point that you become suspicious of both characters. You're not actually quite sure who you trust mostly and whose perspective / point of view is transparent and clear, if either. And there's something about the fact that this isn't buried in supernatural for the thrills. It isn't a horror-based film. It is a film about real human characters, and that makes it so much more horrifying. Even the accident at the start of the film that triggers the whole rest of the narrative, the emotional reaction that Anne Hathaway gives you in one shot of realization is so top tier. And Jessica Chastain playing this overly protective, really possessive, to the point where you're not sure on her sanity mother was done superbly. At no point do they become caricatures. The performances make them so compelling and so engaging throughout. It's a very efficient 90-minute thriller. It does not waste a second. The fact it was directed by someone who was previously a cinematographer, I think as well works wonders when you're dealing with a not particularly exciting setting, but he makes the vastness of these houses and the intimacy of being neighbours very visually rife with tension. Peering through hedges, looking up into windows. The intimacy of that kind of neighbourly feel becomes very claustrophobic and suffocatingly dangerous as the tension starts to mount. All of it amounts to a finale which felt a little too on the nose for me, with so much of the tension simmering away in the ambiguities of this film, with you not really knowing, you just being left to your own suspicions of both of these characters. The film absolutely commits to a hard truth at the end. It still works, and for me the kind of ending point feels almost inevitable, but it did draw me out slightly. It went for a very hard-hitting and explicit approach and confirmation of what was going on, and I think Mother's Instinct would have worked slightly better had it kept the audience withheld from the truth and just left those ambiguities there, left clues but not hard truths to really keep you questioning what was going on. But as I said, the ending works. It feels like it goes to a logical place. Just the journey taken to get there felt a little bit disingenuous with the sort of tensions that have been established prior to that. But it is absolutely a must watch, guys. If you have seen it, do drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts. But please also consider liking and subscribing to the channel. That's always a huge help for me. And in the meantime, we'll see you for the next review.